Hey everyone, Shabby Gamer here, and welcome to night number 6 of our Global Force Wrestling G1 Climax Festival. Now last night we saw the end of Groups 1 and 2, and we know our first semi-final tomorrow night will be Sami Zayn versus CM Punk, and tonight we will decide who the other semi-final will be. So to kick things off, we're going to start off with a fatal four-way of 4 of the guys that have been knocked out over the last couple of days. It's going to be an elimination match as well, so just a chance for one of these guys to really regain some momentum and save a bit of face over this week. Next, we're going to see Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Samoa Joe. This is from group number 4, and this is a vital match because both these guys currently have 1 victory each. Our next match we'll see, I'm not going to say a dud match because this is going to be a fantastic match, but both these guys are definitely out of the competition. They can't make it to the semi-finals, but this will be a fantastic match between these two nonetheless. Then we will see Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Brian Cage. Now, Zack is out of the competition, but Brian Cage, if he should win here this evening, will be guaranteed to make it through to the semi-finals. And our main event is Alberto Del Rio versus Ricochet. This is a group number 3 match. Both these guys are currently on 2 victories each, so whoever wins this will be going through to our semi-finals tomorrow night. So without further ado, let's get straight into our first match of the evening. So, as I said, our first match will be the fatal 4-way elimination match between 4 of the guys that have been knocked out already. We've got Kota Ibushi, AJ Styles, Rey Mysterio Jr. and Fenix. And here we go. Now, I did announce yesterday, but if you haven't seen the video yesterday, obviously you won't have seen it, but I have announced that Kazuchika Okada tomorrow night will defend his Global Championship against AJ Styles. That's been a feud that's been going on now for a few weeks, so I think it's about time we culminate that feud at our main event. Well, there may be our main event tomorrow night. I think our main event will be the final of the G1 Climax tomorrow night. And it could be very interesting, the G1 Climax. There's a possibility that all 4 guys getting through to the semi-finals are not guys that are currently on the Global Force Wrestling roster. Of course, we've already got CM Punk and Sami Zayn through to the semi-finals. Should Ricochet win this evening against Alberto Del Rio in our main event, of course, Ricochet is representing Combat Zone Wrestling. And, of course, Samoa Joe, there's still a chance that Samoa Joe could make it through. He would need to defeat Hiroshi Tanahashi in our next match and, of course, hope that Zack Sabre Jr. defeats Brian Cage, and then Joe would have to beat Brian Cage in a buffer match. So, a lot needs to happen for Samoa Joe to make it through. And of course, I mentioned that last night as well. Should anybody end up on equal amounts of victories this evening, we will have a buffer match at the end just to decide who goes through. Of course, that can't happen in group number 3. No matter what happens, group number 3 will be decided in our main event between Alberto Del Rio and Ricochet. But it's group number 4. If Brian Cage defeats Zack Sabre Jr., it's all over. That's the basis of it. Rey Mysterio and Kota Ibushi. Ibushi's been very, very unlucky because he won both his first 2 matches. He did lose last night against Sami Zayn. That brought Sami Zayn up to 2 victories. Of course, Fenix won last night as well. That put him up to 2 victories. And then we had a triple threat elimination match at the end of the show. And it was Sami Zayn who came out victorious. But all week it looked certain that Kota Ibushi was going to be the guy to make it through to the semis. But he was just pipped at the last second. Of course, AJ Styles had an awful week so far. He's had 3 matches in this G1 Climax, and he's lost all 3 as Ibushi with sit-out powerbomb. But Rey Mysterio had his feet underneath the ropes, and there's Fenix there with that Michinoku driver on AJ Styles. We saw him defeat AJ last night. And he's done it again. AJ Styles is eliminated. And we are down to 3, and AJ Styles is not looking in a great place here to go on and face Okada tomorrow night. He's had 4 matches so far in this week, and he's lost all 4. As now Ibushi and Fenix working together on the much more experienced Rey Mysterio. Double facebuster there. Maybe they should be going for the pin, but Ibushi trying to bring Rey back up to his feet. Fenix. Oh, Rey reverses Fenix and catches him with that DDT, but Ibushi just spinning kick on Rey straight away. Now Ibushi springboard shooting star press misses. Crashed and burned there, Kota Ibushi. Great submission hold there by Fenix, but again, Rey Mysterio's feet are underneath the ropes. And I'm really hoping they fix that on the next game. There's just so many rope breaks. Rey Mysterio with a quick roll-up on Fenix. 2. Oh, Fenix reverses. 1, 2. And no. Yes. Yes, Rey Mysterio is eliminated. And Fenix has done fantastically well. Eliminated both guys in this match so far. And you know what? I'm half tempted to put Fenix in this Global Championship match tomorrow night. I really am. I'm thinking just for what he's done so far this week, he's defeated AJ Styles now on consecutive evenings. He's also defeated... who else did he beat? He beat Sami Zayn as well. He's the only person to beat Sami Zayn. So yeah, I'm very much tempted to put Fenix into that match tomorrow night. Great moonsault there by Ibushi. In for the pin. 1, 2... and 3, and that's it. Kota Ibushi picks up the victory with that moonsault off the top. And you know what? I'm thinking Ibushi as well. Fatal 4-way elimination. Okada, Styles, Ibushi, and Fenix. I like the sound of that. And I think the way this week has gone, I think that seems very, very fair as well. Fenix has really hit a rich vein of form. Eliminating 2 big names here. Unfortunately, it was Kota Ibushi. Well, unfortunately for Fenix, it was Kota Ibushi who came out with a victory. But yeah, I'm locking that one in. Okada, Styles, Ibushi, and Fenix. What a match that's going to be. Kota Ibushi continues his good form this week again. He's only lost 1 match so far. Of course, that's 1 match more than he wanted to lose, of course. But the 1 match he did lose was a very, very important one. It stopped him getting through to the semi-finals. Kota Ibushi, the victorious in this fatal 4-way elimination match. And our second match this evening is from group number 4. It's Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Samoa Joe. And here we go. Of course, both of these guys currently on 1 victory each. Whoever wins this match will still stand a chance of making it through. It's all going to depend on our next, not our next match, the match after next, of course, which is Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Bryan Cage. So both these guys will be desperate to pick up the victory and just keep their hopes of making it through in this competition alive. Samoa Joe, of course, the current Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Champion. He lost to Bryan Cage on night number 1. But then defeated Zack Sabre Jr. on night number 4. That's how he picked up his 1 victory. Hiroshi Tanahashi, he again defeated Zack Sabre Jr. on night number 2, sorry it was. But then he lost to Bryan Cage on night number 4. So Bryan Cage has done fantastically well. And you'd have to put your money on Bryan Cage here this evening. If you consider that Bryan Cage has defeated both of these guys already, and now he's taken on the guy who's lost both his matches so far, Zack Sabre Jr., you'd think the form was definitely in the favour of Bryan Cage. The current double champion in this universe mode as well, Bryan Cage, the current Intercontinental Champion, and the current Ring of Honor Tag Team Champion as well. So winning the G1 Climax Festival would just be an extra accomplishment he has picked up here. Samoa Joe with the boot to the back of Tanahashi now brings him back up to his feet. Tanahashi slapping him with a back elbow, sorry, not a slap. Now Tanahashi looks like he's going for a suplex and hits it beautifully on Samoa Joe, showing an incredible amount of strength there by Tanahashi. Joe is not a small man. Russian leg sweep by Joe. Tanahashi runs towards Joe, and Joe just powers him down with that huge spine buster. Now rolls Tanahashi over, and there's the boot to the middle of the back as well. Brings Tanahashi back up to his feet. Tanahashi, the big boot to the stomach of Samoa Joe. Joe looks a bit phased here, and Tanahashi looks to take advantage, but Joe reversing with a suplex of his own. Very, very close to the ropes there as well. And now Joe with another kick to the back, and not the most effective of moves, but it's going to cause a bit of pain to Tanahashi, and it's going to reduce his chances of being able to pick up Samoa Joe for one of them suplexes again. Takes a lot of strength, especially in the lower back, to hit a suplex on a man of that size. So by damaging the back, it's probably a very clever move by Samoa Joe. Tanahashi now throwing Joe into the corner and monkey flips Joe out. Of course, Tanahashi is the former global champion here in Global Force Wrestling. Started the Universe mode with the belt, but lost it at the very first pay-per-view, Wrestle Kingdom, to Kazuchika Okada. So only held it for about 2 or 3 weeks. And of course, remember, as I've said earlier on in the week, we're going to have one more big finale pay-per-view in Global Force Wrestling, which will be happening before 2K16 comes out. It's scheduled in-game for about 8 weeks, but I'm hoping to try and get a few more weeks uploaded at a time now. Since then, I'm going to start winding the episodes down, so we're going to stop doing some of the rosters, and it's going to make it a lot quicker for me to record a week. Great drop toe hold by Samoa Joe. Now pulling Hiroshi Tanahashi into the ring. Bring Tanahashi back up to his feet, and Tanahashi reversing, throwing Joe into the corner. Went to follow up with the elbow, but Joe avoids it. And a shoulder thrust in the corner to Tanahashi, and then went for the knee, but I think Tanahashi just managed to avoid it. Went for the enziguri himself. Samoa Joe ducks it. Tanahashi with a drop kick to the back of Joe, but Joe still remains on his feet. And Joe, this combination of chops, just pulling Tanahashi towards him, and now Joe signaling for here. Tanahashi with the knee to the stomach, and Joe with the elbow to the face. Joe dropping Tanahashi flat on his face with that front suplex. And a shining wizard by Samoa Joe as well. Very, very painful move to lock in. Joe has Tanahashi up on his shoulders. Death Valley driver by Samoa Joe. And now the elbows to the back of the neck. And that's really going to help him when he finally locks in that clean. I can't even say it. I can never say it. Rear naked chokehold submission by Samoa Joe, as Tanahashi does get Joe up in another vertical suplex and rolls through this time. Only a 1 count. Joe kicks out. Tanahashi with a headlock on Joe. Joe reverses. That's a back elbow by Joe as well. Tanahashi down. Makes way back up to his feet though, and Joe's there to catch him in the front chancery. And now a gut wrench up onto the shoulder. And drops him face first in the middle of the ring. Could this be it for Samoa Joe? 1, 2. And it is. Samoa Joe picks up the victory here against Hiroshi Tanahashi. That puts Joe up to 2 victories. Tanahashi is now definitely out of this competition. He cannot make it through to the semi-finals. Drop toe hold there by Tanahashi. See, Joe brings Tanahashi back up to his feet. It's a replay of Tanahashi ducking something there. And Joe catching with the replays on this game are absolutely die. Here we go again. Look, Joe looking for something, and Tanahashi with a knee to the stomach. The replays are really awful. This was the suplex by Tanahashi, rolls into the pin. And again, these replays are awful. We get to see the replays of all of these useless little moves. However, as soon as it comes to a point where we're going to get the finishing maneuver, it cuts out. Terrible, isn't it? But either way, Samoa Joe's up to 2 victories, joins Brian Cage on 2 victories. However, if Brian Cage can pick up a victory later on this evening against Zack Sabre Jr., then Brian Cage is definitely going through to our semi-finals tomorrow night. Should Brian Cage lose to Zack Sabre Jr., he will have to face off later on this evening against Samoa Joe for that place. And our next match this evening is from group number 3, and it's Daniel Bryan taking on Shinsuke Nakamura. And here we go. Of course, both these guys are already out of the competition. Both lost 2 matches from 2. However, this is just going to be a fantastic match either way. This is a match that a lot of people would love to see. It was one that they were angling, a lot of fans were angling to try and get signed up for the Beast of the East tour, but obviously it was never going to work. Of course, both these guys, as I said, lost both their first 2 matches. So whoever wins here this evening can save a little bit of face. Whoever loses here will be known as a person who lost all 3 of his matches. It's not necessarily a bad... Well, it is a bad thing losing all 3 of your matches, but considering your group consists of Nakamura, Alberto, El Patron, Ricochet and Daniel Bryan, I don't think it's going to be... You're not going to be a laughing stock by any stretch of the imagination. They're 4 fantastic wrestlers. Somebody has to lose each match. Daniel Bryan, of course, representing Ring of Honor. And never won the Ring of Honor guys. We've already seen 2 Ring of Honor guys qualify for tomorrow night. And there's a good chance that Samoa Joe could qualify later on this evening as well. We'll have to wait and see how that works out. And of course, our main event this evening will be the finale of this group as Alberto El Patron takes on Ricochet. Both those guys with 2 victories each. Both defeated these 2 guys in the ring. And it's good to see Ricochet finally doing well in this universe mode. I've given him a lot of opportunities, and he hasn't really repaid us as of yet. He's been a bit shaky, so now he's getting the opportunity to really show what he can do, and he's finally taken that opportunity as well. Of course, Alberto El Patron. The Alberto we're using in this competition is the Global Force Alberto. Of course, we do have Alberto in Global Force and in Ring of Honor, so should Alberto make it through, I'm not classing that as a Ring of Honor guy. Daniel Bryan brings Nakamura back up to his feet, a boot across the stomach. Nakamura gets on the back of Bryan, and there's a belly to back slam. And both these guys are well known for their strikes. Many of their kicks, and obviously Shinsuke Nakamura are known for his strong style knees. Big finishing maneuver. Can easily knock a man out like that. Daniel Bryan with that diving forearm off the middle rope. Taking something from Cesaro there, I believe. I think it's much more effective for Cesaro because he's much more of a weight coming off that middle rope towards you. Nakamura brings Daniel Bryan back up to his feet and now twisting the arm. Drop kick to the back there by Nakamura on Bryan. The 2 guys lock up again. An arm breaker there by Daniel Bryan. Again, getting around the back of Nakamura, but Nakamura, that snapmare. And now just the elbows to the back of the neck of Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan finds his way back up to his feet, though. Not allowing Nakamura to take control of this match. And there's a tilt-a-whirl neckbreaker by Daniel Bryan. And it's a shame that he's been missing for so long, and I don't know if he's ever going to be able to come back. It's a difficult one. He obviously is not officially retired as yet. I think if he does come back, again, it's going to be... I think they should bring him back as more of a part-time member of the roster as such. A bit like what they do with some of the other guys. A bit like what they do with Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's there. You can have him on the shows, have him in tag team matches where he doesn't get a lot of involvement in the matches and things like that. But just try and hold him back wherever you can and just use him for the big shows. Use him for your SummerSlams, your WrestleManias, your Royal Rumbles. I think that's the best way to use him because it's not so much fragile, but now that he's had a lot of these injuries, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to ever get back to a level where once you've had injuries, everyone who's had injuries knows once you've had an injury, that part of your body can be weaker forever. So it's very, very difficult. Bryan with a pin, but Nakamura... Oh, I thought Nakamura was underneath the ropes there. Referee still counts it, only for a 2 count though. Nakamura with the kicks of his own now. Daniel Bryan was in the corner. Nakamura just thrusting him in the shoulder. And now big, big clothesline by Nakamura. Bryan goes down. And Nakamura locking in that submission hold. Almost like a triangle choke. Like the Hell's Gate Undertaker uses. Has to release the hold. Bryan makes his way back up to his feet. And Nakamura catches him in a front chancery. Throws Nakamura into the corner. Bryan went for the dropkick. Nakamura avoids it and then catches Bryan with a bulldog. I'm sure Nakamura will be itching to pick up a victory here in front of his home Japanese crowd. Nakamura rolls Daniel Bryan over, but Bryan fights his way back up to his feet here. And now Bryan going for the label lock. He's got it locked in. That crossface submission hold. Is it going to be enough to win this match for for Bryan. No, Nakamura makes his way to the ropes. Bryan breaks the hold. Nakamura back up now, throwing Bryan into that corner. Went for the another shoulder block in the corner, but Bryan caught him with a knee. Bryan went for the drop kick, and Nakamura reverses. Nakamura now with a backbreaker on Daniel Bryan. Nakamura might have been trying to set him up there for the strong style knee. One of the things I think they're doing in next year's game as well is I'm going to obviously keep trying to upload the Universe mode as much as I can. I know obviously this week I've got a couple of days behind, but hopefully I will be, by the time you watch this video, we should be fully back up to date on all the episodes. It's Friday night I'm recording this now, and I am going to absolutely go for it. So I need to record about 7 episodes. So hopefully by the time you watch this, I should be completely up to date. We'll have everything uploaded to where it should be. So next year we are going to keep on doing the Universe mode, but I think as well as Daniel Bryan picks up the victory. There's me talking a bit of crap there, and Daniel Bryan picks up the victory after that combination, and that leaves Nakamura at the bottom of this group with 0 victories from 3 matches. It's been a disaster of a tournament for him. Daniel Bryan saves a bit of face here with this victory. It's a triangle choke there by Nakamura. Beautiful move. That's a label lock by Bryan. This was the part where Nakamura looked like he was setting up for the strong style knee, but Bryan made his way back to his feet. And then Bryan, after the combination of clotheslines, I believe it was, manages to finish Shinsuke Nakamura off and picks up the victory. Daniel Bryan will be leaving this G1 Climax Festival with a victory. He who laughs last, laughs loudest. It's quite a tricky phrase to say, that is, actually. I struggle with that one. And here we go with our next match here this evening. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Brian Cage. And here we go. Of course, this match, Brian Cage has this whole group in his hands, basically. Should he win here, he will be going through to the semi-finals. He'll be facing either Alberto Del Rio or Ricochet. Should he lose here, he will have to wrestle again tonight against Samoa Joe for that semi-final position. So basically, Brian Cage knows he has to win one of 2 matches this evening to guarantee himself that place tomorrow night. Zack Sabre Jr. is out of the competition, but he knows he can throw a massive spanner in the works here this evening. And who knows, a win against the Intercontinental Champion here for Zack Sabre Jr. would definitely put him in a great position for a shot at the Intercontinental Championship as well. Zack now with a front chancery, but Brian Cage reverses with that Russian leg sweep. And Brian Cage has really been picking up a lot of momentum in this Universe mode. He's been a bit like Drake Younger. I had the same thing with Drake Younger recently, where Drake just literally became unplayable. He was winning everything. We saw him win the Best of the Super Juniors tournament. We saw him win the Tag Team Championships over in Combat Zone Wrestling. He won the Global Force Wrestling Junior Heavyweight Championship as well. He just won everything that could possibly be won. He also won the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships for a small amount of time, and that's where it started to break down. He lost the championships later on that evening at the DDT 4 Festival to Brian Cage and Michael Elgin, and since then he's not been on the greatest form, lost a couple of matches, and of course Drake will be defending his Junior Heavyweight Championship tomorrow night in, again, a fatal 4-way elimination match, just like the World Championship, so be sure to check that one out. Again, that will be uploaded on Saturday night, Sunday morning-ish, that's UK time. I don't know what America is. Is America like 6 or 7 hours behind the UK, I think, in most places? So yeah, either way, it should be uploaded by the time you wake up on a Sunday morning, I would imagine. Or if you're a late stayer-upperer, then it may even be uploaded on the Saturday night. So again, check that out. We're gonna have a chunker. We're gonna have at least 1, 2, 3. Have at least 3 championship matches, and then depending on what happens here with Brian Cage, should Brian Cage not make it through to the semi-finals, he will be defending that Global Force Wrestling Intercontinental Championship tomorrow as well. If Brian Cage does make it through to the finals, then he still will be defending that belt. I'm thinking next week maybe on Global Impact. It's Brian Cage with a punch to the face, and then Oh, he went for some sort of crossbody there off the top rope, but Zack Sabre Jr. caught him. Not quite sure what with, but it was effective, whatever it was. Brian Cage, another German suplex out the corner. And Brian Cage is just throwing Zack Sabre Jr. now like he's not even a person. He's just this lump of meat. He's just launching around the ring. Another backdrop there by Brian Cage. Now Cage, the big punches to the face of Zack Sabre Jr. Cage brings Jr. back up to his feet, and Zack with the twist in the arm of Cage. And now using his technical ability, and I think that's going to be Zack Sabre Jr., sorry. That's going to be his best asset here this evening. He's not be able to compete with his strength, of course. Even speed might be a struggle, because Brian Cage is a big man. And there's the big discus lariat by Cage. We've seen him pick up a few victories like this of recent. Could this be another 1, 2? And that's it. Brian Cage victorious. And Brian Cage is going through to the semi-finals tomorrow night. Who will he face off against, though? We will find out in our next match, which, of course, is Alberto Del Rio versus Ricochet. And there's the big discus lariat by Brian Cage, which finished Zack Sabre Jr. off. And Zack has had a terrible week. Again, he's really struggled in this universe mode. A bit like Ricochet struggled in the universe mode, but now, obviously, Ricochet is starting to turn a corner. Brian Cage has been in immense form of recent. And that continues here this evening. And if I'm Alberto Del Rio or Ricochet, I am worried about facing Brian Cage on Sunday. I really am. But of course, to be the best, you have to beat the best. And now we know 3 of our 4 semi-finalists. We're going to have CM Punk versus Sami Zayn and Brian Cage versus the winner of our next match. And now it's time for our main event here this evening. Who will win group number 3? We will find out as Alberto Del Rio takes on Ricochet. And here we go. One of these two guys, of course, is going on to face Brian Cage tomorrow night on our semi-finals. Who will it be? Of course, I was going to tell you who these guys are defeated, but it's... yeah, they're both defeated Nakamura. They're both defeated Daniel Bryan. Pretty simple. And Ricochet, as I said, is one of the guys that I really, really rate. He's one of the, in my eyes, one of the best wrestlers in the world. And it's a shame he never really hit the ground running this universe mode. But this week has really been a week where he has started to develop and started to pick up some momentum. And hopefully he can build on that as well. Because, like I said, I really like him. My favourite 2 wrestlers at the moment are Ricochet and Zack Sabre Jr. And both have struggled in this universe mode. As much as I've given them opportunity after opportunity, both have struggled. But now this is an opportunity here for Ricochet this evening to really repay my faith in him. Great step of Insuguri there by Ricochet on Alberto Del Rio. And of course these two, I think I asked this question in one of my videos the other day. I have been watching Lucha Underground, but my mind has gone now. Has Del Rio faced Prince Puma in Lucha Underground as yet? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if these two guys have ever met in the ring. Lucha Underground, I think, is their best chance. And, of course, Season 2 of Lucha Underground has been confirmed now. They're going to start recording very, very soon. So I would imagine that we will see Prince Puma take on Alberto Del Rio at some point. And that will be a fantastic match. I'm sure these two must have had a match at some point. I know we've seen Del Rio versus John Morrison. That was an incredible match, that was. We've seen John Morrison versus Ricochet on a few occasions as well. And they've all been fantastic matches. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section below if you know of any opportunity or any time where Ricochet has faced off against Del Rio in the past. It doesn't have to be Lucha Underground. It may have been one of the other companies, but I'm just curious, basically. Del Rio now gets Ricochet up on his shoulders. Ricochet reverses with that lifting DDT, spiking Del Rio's head into the mat. Now Ricochet with that snap suplex on Del Rio. And backbreaker, neckbreaker combination as well. Ricochet doing fantastically well here. Both guys trading kicks and Del Rio comes out on top. And now there's a belly-to-belly slam by Del Rio on Ricochet. And of course, both these guys have won every match they've had so far this week. And who's going to be able to keep that run going on as Del Rio only gets a 1 count on Ricochet? I don't think he would have expected to win there. I think he's just given a Sort of like a mental boost. Stunning shooting star press by Ricochet now brings Del Rio back up to his feet. Now Ricochet has Del Rio up on his shoulders. And Del Rio comes down and hits that, again, lifting DDT. It's a tricky one, this, because seeing both guys using the same reversals on each other is a bit annoying. But I suppose there's only so many different variations of moves they can put into the game. Del Rio now launches Ricochet over that top rope. Now he's going to bring him back in the hard way with that vertical suplex. Del Rio brings Ricochet back up to his feet, and then that running step up into Guri that could really do a lot of damage. That can knock you silly for a good few seconds. Del Rio pulls Ricochet into the middle of the ring, hoping that Ricochet has been knocked silly, but it's only for a 1 count. Now Del Rio catches Ricochet straight away into the cross arm breaker. Could Del Rio pick up the submission victory here for Ricochet and make his way on to face Brian Cage tomorrow night? No. Del Rio breaks the hold. Ricochet back up to his feet now. An elbow drop and a jawbreaker by Ricochet. And that is the thing that's always held a lot of guys back on this game, is having a submission move as your finishing maneuver. Because it really does... it doesn't help you out really a lot. Because whereas another one of these guys now might hit an impact finisher and win the match straight away, Del Rio's going to have to build up another finishing maneuver to get that armbar, and there's no guarantee the armbar the second time will get you tap out. I think if you use your finishing maneuver as a submission, I think you should have a much higher chance of your opponent submitting. But hopefully that's something that 2K16 will address. Tornado DDT by Ricochet. Rolls Del Rio over. Now Ricochet looking for a submission of his own. See, resting his body weight on the lower back of Del Rio, now wrenching back at the neck. Slams Del Rio back face first into the mat. Ricochet around the back of Del Rio. A couple of back elbows by Del Rio. Trying to create some space, and he does. And catches Ricochet with that German suplex. Now just stamping on the arm of Ricochet, and that's obviously building towards another cross arm breaker. And here he is again, working on that arm. Going in for the pin. 1. Only a 1 count again. Ricochet still with some life left in him. Del Rio just tripping Ricochet and throwing him face first into the mat. And again, working on that arm. You'd think if Del Rio can lock in another cross arm breaker now, that he'd definitely have a great chance of picking up the victory. Ricochet with that Russian leg sweep. Going in for a pin. 1. Again, only a 1 count. I don't think any of these two guys have managed to get 2 counters yet. Del Rio throwing Ricochet into that far corner. Went for the running forearm, but Ricochet avoids it. And now Del Rio locking another cross arm breaker. But Ricochet does fantastically well to maneuver himself towards that bottom rope. Del Rio now with the Saito suplex on Ricochet. And again, Ricochet back up to his feet pretty quickly. Great insecurity by Ricochet. Now rolling Del Rio over and slamming Del Rio's arm into the mat. And maybe Ricochet is looking for some technical wrestling himself here. Del Rio back up to his feet though. Ricochet managed to reverse. Great neck breaker by Ricochet on Del Rio. Pull him into the middle of the ring. Del Rio fights way back up to his feet though. Ricochet now with a backbreaker, neckbreaker combination. We saw that earlier in the match. Very effective move. Is it going to be effective enough though? Pulls Del Rio into the middle of the ring, and Ricochet with a springboard knee drop on Del Rio. Brings him back up to his feet again. And a big kick to the side of the head of Del Rio, and he dropped like a bag of spuds. Could that be enough? 2. And it is. Ricochet picks up the victory here over Alberto Del Rio. And we're going to see Ricochet versus Brian Cage tomorrow. Now that is a match that I know definitely has happened in Lucha Underground. And in various other places actually, I would imagine. I marked that down on my piece of paper. So we now know all of our 4 semi-finalists. We have CM Punk, Sami Zayn, Ricochet and Brian Cage. Brian Cage is the only person out of those 4 who is representing Global Force Wrestling. And of course Brian Cage works for Ring of Honor as well. So it's not been a great week for Global Force Wrestling, I must say. And Global Force Wrestling's pride, I think, is all in the hands of Brian Cage tomorrow night. And, well, the way Brian Cage is going, I would not put it past him picking up a victory. But Ricochet victorious here over Del Rio in a group number 3 match. Ricochet this week now has defeated Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, and Alberto Del Rio. What a resume that is for a week's worth of wins. Well, anyway, guys, that is the end of this episode, the end of night number 6, or Saturday, if you will, of the G1 Climax Festival. I hope you've all enjoyed it. We've seen some great matches again here this evening, and we now know our full card for tomorrow. So be sure to check that out. I've been Shabby Gamer. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.